Okay, before we start the instructional video on how to sharpen and smooth your knife blade using Razor Renew, we want to make one important point. That is, your knife blade must be sharp already before you use Razor Renew to sharpen and smooth it. And that's because Razor Renew is meant to maintain the sharpness and smoothness of your knife. Now, if you keep up with sharpening your knife on Razor Renew, like every time or every other time, you're going to greatly decrease the amount of times you're going to need to sharpen your knife with a stone. And so that'll increase the life of your knife. And if you're paying somebody to sharpen your knife on a stone, you're going to save a lot of money. This is an instructional video for how to use Razor Renew to sharpen and smooth your knives. Well, how do you know which size of Razor Renew to use? Well, if you have a blade that has a cutting surface of 3 inches or less, like this one, Razor Renew short is fine. You can go from the base to the tip easily. However, if you have a knife that has a cutting surface of more than 3 inches like this one, as you can see, it's hard to go from the base to the tip effectively. So that's why we recommend Razor Renew long. So as you can see, you can go from the base to the tip easily with any size knife. We have both Razor Renews hanging. This is a very important concept. You must hang your Razor Renew to get the optimal sharpness and smoothness from your knife. Now we have a trigger snap and an 8-inch piece of Velcro. Between these two, you should have no problem finding a place to hang your Razor Renew. Now you'll notice when you're holding the handle and hanging your Razor Renew how flexible the body is. Now this is very important because what it does is it allows you to push the blade of the knife far enough into the leather to where you get the optimal sharpness and smoothness. And another thing you'll notice is when you're holding the handle, it keeps the sharp blade away from your skin so you won't cut yourself. Now this is made out of premium cow leather, and you don't want to get this wet. If you get it wet and try to sharpen your knife, it will greatly decrease the effectiveness of the sharpness and smoothness of your knife. And also, you want to make sure your knife is clean and dry. Because if you have any particles on the knife or part of the blade, there's a chance that that part of the blade is not going to get sharp and smooth. And you'll notice that I'm going opposite way I cut. So you want to go opposite way you cut up and down on the strop, because you don't want to damage your Razor Renew. Because on a stone, you go the way you cut, but if you're used to doing that, you just got to get in the habit of going opposite way you cut. Before we get into the actual demonstration of how to sharpen and smooth your knife with Razor Renew, let's talk about the benefits of using Razor Renew with your knives. Now, one of the biggest benefits is that Razor Renew is not going to take off any metal when you're using it, and it's not going to scratch your knife, which is a very good characteristic, because if you have a really expensive knife with a nice polish on it, you're not going to scratch your knife. And if you keep up with your Razor Renew, it's going to make your knife that much smoother and that much sharper. So we recommend, before each use, to touch it up with Razor Renew, or every other time. But keep in mind that if your knife actually gets dull, you still need to use a sharpening stone or a grinder. Now, in the demonstration, we're going to be going up and down a certain amount of times on each side, and that's specific to this knife. And you might need, with your knife is thicker or thinner or what have you, and just keep in mind that you might have to go a little bit more, a little bit less. Everybody's a little bit different. But for purposes of the demonstration, we're going to go up and down a specific amount of times. Now let's demo how to use Razor Renew long to sharpen and smooth your larger knives. So you always want to start out on the sueded side. The sueded side sharpens and hones. And then after the knife is sharp, you want to smooth out the blade on the smooth side. And just remember, you need more smoothing and polishing, twice as much smoothing as polishing, as you do sharpening and honing. So let's start out. You want to press firmly 15-25 degrees and draw the knife up and across. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we flip it, and you want to press firmly 15-25 degrees, draw the knife down and across. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the knife is sharp, but now we want to polish it and smooth it. So we flip to the smooth side. and we want twice as much, so we're going to go 8 up and 8 down. So you press down firmly, 15, 25 degrees up and across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we want to flip it. We're going to press firmly, 15, 25 degrees, and pull it down and across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now your knife is sharp and smooth. And just remember, it depends on your knife, but you might have to do it, less or more depending on your knife.